Hello. I am still trying to get the chat window set up here because once again it doesn't seem to be running right. Let me get a tweet out and then I will be giving this a shot. Why am I not seeing the chat at all here? Live chat. There we go. Bring this down. There. Okay. Last thing, shift tab. Settings. In-game. Let's bring up the FPS counter, upper right, so we can... There we go. Okay, so, yeah, I'm not certain how long I'm going to be on in total. I should be on until maybe 3 or 4. So, hopefully the game will run okay until then. For the record, anyone joining and anyone going back and watching this, I am currently running a 6700X for the graphics card, and CPU is a AMD Ryzen 5 5600. So I have the recommended specs for the... hold on, let me check the audio levels here. Yeah, okay. I'm going to bring the game down a little bit. I have the recommended specs for the... I have the recommended specs for processor. I am about 1 or 2 notches below the recommended specs for the graphics. So, but I'm well above the minimums. So let's hop in and we'll give this a shot. I could see something like that being in the works eventually. I don't know. For now, we'll go docking tolerance. Is all the options we have? All right. We'll call this test for now. And we'll keep it default. Okay. Just hop right in. But yeah. I agree, and I feel like that could give Illumination a run for its money, and Illumination deserves a run for its money. It actually, I could see it fitting well with a animated series. What do we have here?
Your new space program, leaping forward into the cosmos. Since the dawn of Kerbal kind, we have looked to the sky and wondered what sublime mysteries lie hidden in the darkness, like jewels never beheld. These untold treasures may soon reveal themselves due to the efforts recently founded Kerbal Space.
Oh my! I think that might have been the only copy of the orientation film. Hold on! Slides, somewhere. Welcome to your first day running the Kerbal Space Program. This campus hosts the greatest ever gathering of astronomers.
It's a nice touch to have something like this to welcome new players into the game. I think a big mindset of this game, from what I've heard, is that it's very minded towards getting new players in, so...
Very impressive buildings. We believe we have all the necessary pieces to take our first steps off the ground. The best way to advance our technology
I can hear it.
further is to get up there and learn by doing. All we need now is somebody to show us how to put all these parts together. Well, we also need somebody to help us out with the flying. We need a lot of help, actually. That's why you're here. My name is Paige, by the way. If you need any hints, feel free to visit me over at the training center. Everything in there is well padded, so it's a great place to get up and running. Welcome aboard.
Okay. .45 frames per second so far. Okay. I don't know how this works. Alright, so as some people have pointed out, big difference here is that we no longer have a spaceplane hangar. It's all one hangar. You know, I just noticed that, actually. That's a good point, because in the past they were speaking Spanish in reverse, and now they're just speaking English. But I think it's more for... it could be a translator, yeah. I think it's more for the idea that they're welcoming players in, and they don't want to use something that's very, like, difficult to understand. Like a language that is almost gibberish. So hop into the VAB and let's build something. Okay. There is some sort of filter on here. Okay, cool. So first things first, let's look through parts here, see what we have to work with. So it looks like mostly the same control pods from KSP1 with some additions, like newer, larger components here. Which I can see something like this being useful for, like, maybe Starship. I think if they were to do a movie, they'd have to make them speak English, because I can't imagine people would put up with a movie that's mostly gibberish and body language. It would be cool, it'd be an interesting challenge to see them, like, try to create something like that, but I don't think audiences, at least in the United States, would sit through that for very long. Let's see. Okay, so these are some new components, these larger control units. For people that build planes, too, there's lots and some interesting new cockpits. I'm not a plane person, but it might be worth trying at some point. I like the dedicated rover control unit here. What do we got? Fuel tanks. I think this is all going to be pretty much the same stuff we saw from KSP1, with the biggest difference being hydrogen fuel is now separate. So, there's mods that add the Sol system. Hydrogen fuel is now separate, so hydrogen fuel, like these guys here, are specifically for the nuclear engines. Otherwise, you'd be using Methalox engines, or Methalox fuel tanks, like these guys here, which are for your standard rocket engines. Speaking of engines, let's see what we got. Okay. I immediately went to the cluster of several engines. So these look like basically the same batch of engines we had in KSP1. At the stock game at launch. Actually, a little after launch. Especially, like, I'm looking at the SRBs here. Do we have... we're missing my favorite SRB, which is the one... I don't remember what its name is in the game, but it's the really tiny diameter one, good for, like, making Atlas 5s and Delta 2s and stuff. Yeah, they did make Minmus look a little bit more realistic. Kind of mixed feelings on that. Ultimately, I do like the more realistic look of the planets and celestial bodies that I've seen from other people who have gotten into the game so far. I love the new launch clamps, Apollo style. What is this? Oh, it's like a little panel. Okay. Let's see. So the question is, where do we want to go first? Ooh, I like the space station modules they've got here. This one in particular. But, let me see. Is that what it's called? I am not entirely certain what, No, see, because the kickback is still here. Kickback is like this, the big guy that's good for making, like, SLS and, shuttle. Is this an even bigger? Oh yeah. Look. So some of the newer. Yeah, get the tutorial window out of here. I understand how this works. Yes. Lost my train of thought. Yeah, no, it is a really, like, tiny... I like the ability... Here's an interesting thing. It seems like we have the ability to... I don't know how it's done. Here. Oh, it's clicking the middle mouse button. To favorite parts. And it tosses it up here in this favorites list. Which might have been in the first game and I just never used it, but... I'm noticing it now. Good selection of wheels. I know a lot of people really like these new landing legs. Can we open it? I've seen people commenting about these. Maybe it's the shrimps. I'd have to look. I'd have to pull up KSP1 and check to see, or like pull up the like the wiki or something. I can check to see if we have the shrimp here. Okay, so I'm not seeing the shrimp here, so it might be the shrimp. I'm not really sure. Okay, let's see. Power. We got similar batteries. I'm glad that they're starting us out with round solar panels. That was something that took way too long to make it into KSP. Communications. So does this mean we have relay capability in this game, or is this just basically for direct communication? That's what I'd want to know, because been doing a lot with relay satellites in KSP1 lately. I just want to see how this looks, because this thing is, yeah, that is snazzy looking. Because Antares is a pain to build. I was recently trying to... I had an issue with the ISS in... the ISS model I had in KSP1. And that second stage, that's just an SRB, is really, really difficult to fine-tune and set up and fly. It fights... I have a video about it, but fun fact, a lot of the Antares launch videos I've done that actually show Cygnus launching, it's almost all movie magic. I will launch it, it will fail to reach orbit, and then I will launch Cygnus on an Atlas V. Yep, that's right. I'm coming out and explaining that. The Cygnus video is faked. Yeah, I just... It, no. It's not, it's not, it's just, it doesn't work as well. I don't know how Aerodyne Rocket Jet does it in real life. I cannot do it in Kerbal. So let's... we could build a pretty good Cygnus here, functionally. Let's grab one of these, and the first thing that comes to mind here is... where is it? I saw... oh, it's going to be in the payload section. Throw that on there. And then you're going to want fuel tank. A medium fuel tank, probably. I'm going to get something a little bit smaller. Because if I remember correctly, Cygnus fuel tanks... that's too small. Okay, we're going to go with medium. I think that's what I'm going to end up doing. I want to launch an orbital mission first, just to kind of dip my toes in. But now I'm throwing together Cygnus, because how is that going to look? these without... Yes, we do. I mean, it doesn't have engines or RCS or anything. It's very basic. But the shape and style you can actually nail pretty well, especially with these, this new, better-looking space station component. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to build something that kind of looks like Sputnik and then launch on something that looks way too American for Sputnik. Because I think that's funny, and also because there is absolutely no Russian parts here. So I'm going to build something that... let's throw the things on top this time. Why not? Do we have action buttons? I have not seen... We can try to throw the Sputnik on an Atlas. Trip Planner. Action Group Manager. Okay. Cool. I'm going to do my usual here and make Action Group 3. Yeah, this is a little obnoxious. In the first game, you could grab them as a group, and now I gotta grab them all individually. It's a little bit of a pain. We'll throw some solars on this too so it doesn't die. Something small, these guys. I'm down here. And now let's throw an upper stage on this so that we don't fine-tune this. Blah, blah, blah. Do we have a sloped tank? No. I'm a little ridiculous about this, but I feel like everything needs to feel streamlined, so I'm going to throw that in here, and then we're going to throw a fairing over it. Oh, wait a minute. These fairings almost look like they have little plates on them to make them... why can I not... Okay, so I think I'm seeing a little bit of a... Oh. No? I can't remove anything from this now. And that is way too big of a plate to have on this booster. And we're going to exit the VAB and we're going to come back to the VAB and see if that fixes our problem here. Nope, still can't... Oh, there we go. Okay, so... orientation tool, put them back in orientation. By the way, non-stables. Yeah, it is going to be a very elliptical orbit. Here's another fun fact. I am overly reliant on MechJeb for basically everything I do in KSP-1. So it will be a challenge to fly without it. So we have a fairing. That's something. I'm not a huge fan of the fact that the fairing doesn't like sort of part like they used to in KSP-1. I've thought about it, but ultimately I have a weird relationship with modding where I've had problems getting mods to run on things in the past. What are you? Oh, it's a plain part. So I generally try to keep away from mods when I can. I'm going to add an upper stage to this. I know we're trying to do Atlas here. We're going to do a weird, like, a weird Atlas with an upper stage because I want to be able to fine-tune things when we get up there. I'll build an Atlas-looking thing for a first stage. Can I, do we have... Okay, we don't have the, I wanted to see if we had the, what is it called? see. Nope. I want to see if we had the ability to take away the sort of engine casing around this, so it's just the engine itself, which I just think looks better. Where do we have control? Where's control? I mean, there's command, but I want... Is it in utilities, maybe? Oh, here it is. It's too small. There we go. It's an SAS on that. I've heard that the rockets in this game are unpredictable at best, so we're gonna try our luck with getting something here to fly, but I'm not holding my breath necessarily for something that's going to fly very well. Okay, now I want some medium fuel tank here. These and controls are in utility. Go. Bottom. So this is interesting. Instead of clicking and dragging parts away from the vehicle, you have to click on them and then they just kind of stick to your mouse. It's a slightly different way of handling things. I don't hate it, it's just different. Okay, so that's probably going to be a really beefy thrust to weight ratio. Just because we're doing Atlas, I'm going to throw some Veneer engines on this, because why not? I'm not going to do the stage and a half thing with Atlas, because it's a pain in the ass. Okay, so let's figure out the paint job stuff here. Color manager. I'm gonna get rid of this thing. Drag this over. I guess, can I not? Okay. So first things first, part. Drag the opacity all the way down. Make this bottom segment shiny like an Atlas. That's good looking, actually. And let's go up to the top and make this kind of look like an Atlas Agena, I think. So we'll go base. I'm gonna make the base white and the accent black. These. Can I change the fairing color too? Well, let's make the fairing silver. Just made it white. Oh, whatever. It's like freakishly white. Holy crap. Last thing we'll need is some launch clamps. So let's grab some structure. Clamps. I grab the whole thing. So that's not working. So my question is, are we going to be floating 20 feet off the ground now? Well, I'm gonna find out. Okay, we need a name for this, because FlySafe is not going to do the trick. Let's call this Simple 1. Spaceflight Made Simple. And we will send this thing to orbit. Well, is there any way to check... Oh, my staging is not set up right at all, so I'm going to get rid of that. Staging, boop, boop, and boop. Okay, cool. We should be good. I'm gonna save this. Cool. Pull up the load file real quick. Wow, okay, so there's a lot of default stuff here. This is a very confusingly designed save menu. And it also looks like I saved it as my workspace. Simple 1. There we go. Simple 1. I'm not a huge fan of that save system, personally. But that's just me. Let's take this out to the launch pad and see if we can get it into space. Keep in mind, we're getting 60 frames a second in the VAB, and I have my stats for performance up on the right. Where's my GPU on this? You know, I'm seeing everything. Oh, the GPU is... Oh, Jesus, chugging. Okay. I'm going to pull this here so I can kind of see the GPU. I do have the performance stats in the upper right-hand corner, so I can see exactly how the things are running. So we'll pull this out to the pad and see how this is going. So a lot of people have mentioned it's really quick to get us out to the pad. Yeah, okay, so we are floating like 30 feet off the ground here. You know what? I'm going to go back to the VAB and fix that, because it's going to bug the crap out of me. Firm revert. So far, one of the things... a couple people have pointed this out, that they're really impressed with the loading times. They're good, but they're not, like, blowing me away. Like, that was quick to get from the VAB to the pad, but it was really didn't feel that much more speedy than the way KSP-1 was functioning. So I want to grab the entire vehicle here. Do I have to just try to kind of grab the probe? Yes, I do. Okay. There we go. Okay. That's a little bit obnoxious. Alright. Let's save this. Simple 1. Sure. Oh, wait a minute. I can pick which of the 4 launch pads I want to launch from. That's cool. Staging looks good. Let's take this out of the pad. Now, a lot of people have pointed out that there's a countdown that plays. Let's see if we hear it. Okay, I understand a lot of these flight controls seem fairly self-explanatory. The nav ball is kind of hard to read. We're looking at north is the bottom of the page here. Where are we pointing? Oh, no. The addition of a launch tower, like an umbilical tower, is nice. Okay. Okay, so I see the throttle bar. Cool. The SAS controls. Let's send this thing to... What is our power like? I just realized I never put any batteries on this thing. 10 AU. You know what? I'm going to go back to the VAB again. And we're going to throw some batteries on the spacecraft, because there are no batteries on the spacecraft. And while it does have solar panels, so it can recharge, I don't know how long those will hold us for. So it's going to be worth getting some additional power in there. Hold on. Okay, let's... I'll just throw... You know what? Let's make it like 4 batteries, just to be a little awkward and symmetrical. And we'll send this thing up, I think. Let me save this again. Now we'll bring this out to the pad. Okay. Throttle's up. SAS is on. We're going without fins. I normally don't put fins on things. A lot of people have suggested adding fins. We're going to see how that goes. Let's try sending Simple 1 into orbit in 3, 2, 1. Oh. And I guess when I put the space bar, it starts the countdown. So yeah, our thrust to weight ratio is pretty abysmal. I am getting a stable 40 frames a second. Mind you, this is a very small rocket. The thrust up, our altitude, 200 meters. Over to... Wow, that's unstable. So I'm seeing some weird graphical glitches surrounding the clouds here. Okay, so we've lost the upper stage of the vehicle, and this did not go quite according to plan. The upper stage works. Okay, so I'm going to do a couple things here. I'm going to pull up the settings menu. I'm going to look at our graphics settings. Idealize it times 8. Water looks really nice up close. Okay, we're going to revert back to the VAB here. So the moral of the story with this right now is we need to add some more struts. So we're going to check, we're going to hop into, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to select this guy here. Nope. I want to pull up the, remove its fairings for a sec, and then we will go structural. I understand why a lot of people were complaining about the lack of auto struts now. This should not be as crazy of a weak point as it was. Okay, let's get this, save this. Get this back out there. And maybe this is just because I'm not in full screen mode, but seen some weird... Yeah, hold on, let me test that. Escape settings. Graphics, full screen. Switches to 1080. Apply settings. It looks a little bit better. I don't know, I'm just... Graphics are falling a little short for me here. And I don't know what I can do to get them back up where I need. I'm going to switch it back to a smaller resolution so I can still see the chat. That is... I want to go windowed. There we go. Alright. Well, let's try flying this again. So now we're dipping down to 30 frames a second. And our GPU is taking most of the hit, so it seems to be graphics that's putting a hold on things. We get up to a kilometer. I'll start our gravity turn here. So, going to the clouds feel like watching a static TV. Water reflections are pretty. We're going to work on the assumption that Kerbin's atmosphere is just as thick as it was in KSP-1, and assuming we're looking at about 80 kilometers for a target orbit. So bring us over to there. I feel like the sound of the engine is changing slightly, which is a nice touch. Because you would hear a slightly different engine noise when you get up to higher altitudes where the atmosphere is thinner. Let's see, first stage is still performing well. Take us off that and bring us down. Now I want to leave that on. Let's bring us down to here, so we're still using our first stage here. Pull up the map screen for the first time. For a sec. Oh, we're circular. Cool. Well, I guess I don't really need the upper stage a ton. Cut this out. Oh, that was interesting. So when I fired the upper stage, even though the throttle was all the way down, it puffed a little tiny bit of juice. I'm going to keep the upper stage attached, actually, because I realized our periapsis is still pretty low. And we're going to want to be able to raise that at some point in the orbit. Okay, so the fairing separation was not ideal. Why are we not getting sunlight on the vehicle? Oh, there we go. It's being blocked by the first stage. Swing that around there so we can get some good sunlight. If the upper stage will get out of the way. And we'll use this upper stage for a circularization burn. So we really didn't need all this stuff. And we'll wait to deploy the antennas until we are flip this around to be positive facing, actually. So yeah, so the wobbling was a problem. Frame rate remained relatively okay. I'm not getting the graphics fidelity I saw on the footage that all the people who were flown out to Amsterdam got. And I'm not entirely certain why. We are coasting now to our apoapsis, which is out here. I'm going to add a maneuver point. No. Yes? Why can I not? There we go. So this is way more sensitive than it was before. Okay. Yeah, so some people have complained it doesn't give us a burn time. In fact, it says the stop of the burn is almost instantaneous. Maybe this 4 down here is 4 seconds. I really have no idea. We're going to have to wait and see. Get a page out of here. The lighting effects are incredible. I mean, this looks gorgeous. The graphics for the clouds and the way the clouds are rendering is not. I don't know what is going on with those. I'm going to pull up the settings here while we coast and take a look at our... Oh, unbreakable joints. I want that on. VSync. Let's try turning VSync on, maybe, see if that helps. You know, I think that made the water effects look a little better, but the clouds still look like they're constantly moving, at least for me. Let's pull the settings back up. I'm sorry, I know it's not fun to watch someone tinker with settings. I'm experiencing this the first time with all of you. Turning that off. Everything else is set to high. Let's try that. I mean, that maybe looks a little bit better, but I can't tell if it's just because the sun is setting. God, okay. It would be really cool if they could get into, if they could have it set up where when you get into the nighttime areas, like far side of Kerbin here, where it's just going to be pitch black, if we could have some like city lights in the darkness, you know? We're never gonna get that, but that would be cool. Don't want to miss our burn here. Okay. Oh, the moon looks really nice out there, actually. I feel like the phases of the moon didn't come across right in KSP1 100%. Like, they look good, but not amazing. And, I mean, that looks incredible. Like I said, the celestial bodies in this game, I think, are going to be, like, home run, slam dunk, knock it out of the park, good. Like, they look, from everything I've seen, really, really impressive. So we got one more engine burn here, and then we'll cut our spacecraft loose. We'll wait until we get around into the sunlight so we can do it in the daytime. This atmospheric effect I don't think was there in stock KSP1, and it looks nice. I don't know why it is named my my spent first stage drifting away here default name for, but that's what it has chosen to name it. Hey, how's it going? Okay, 33 seconds. This is, I think this means it's a 4-second burn. So we'll start it at about, let's say, 3 seconds before, and we'll throttle up. We won't full throttle. Simple 1 is in orbit. Now we have a choice to make, because we have 2,000 delta V on this upper stage still. Right now we're in orbit of Kerbin. 2,000 delta V on this upper stage still. We could theoretically send Simple 1 here to the moon. But, let's leave this one in orbit and we'll build something to go and fly around and maybe try to land on the moon. I'm going to bring us around to the daytime. It's okay. I'm going to do another after this. Oh, this is I was like, what is this lower orbit? This is the orbit of our upper stage. That's going to just burn up in the atmosphere. Okay, let's see if my my efforts to fix the graphics have made it look a little bit better. You know what? It looks slightly better. Okay. So let's cut our spacecraft loose here. 3, 2, 1. Spacecraft is separated from the upper stage. Deploy the antennas. Or not. I guess I'm going to do this manually. Oh. Okay. And there's Simple 1. We have absolutely no control over it beyond this point. But it is in a surprisingly circular orbit. Wasn't necessarily intentional, I just wanted it to be stable. Do you want to flip over? Let's see if we can't, can we go over and watch our... I don't think we can. I kind of like that, no, nothing's clipped into the probe here. It's all just slapped onto the outside of it. It's okay. I think functionally, I'm getting decent frame rates. Once again, I have a pretty beefy machine. The thing that is catching me the most off guard is, quite frankly, well, a lot of the things in this game look absolutely gorgeous. The sun, the moon, which is behind Kerbin right now. Even some of these visuals from space, even though you can kind of see it, there's some real weird, like, pattern effects on the clouds that I haven't seen in other games, and I haven't seen in other gameplay footage of this, so I'm not entirely certain what's causing that. I'm going to try to tweak the graphics a little, and we'll see it more when we go back to the Space Center. Let's head to the tracking station and we'll clean up the garbage that we just left. Why am I not able to confirm destroy? Is it because the tutorial's still up? Because I can't really get rid of any of this space junk. We left a lot of space junk floating around. So that's our first stage. What are these? These guys... Oh, these are like launch clamps, maybe? I think this is the launch clamp. Okay. Okay, so I may have to be a little more thoughtful about where I fling debris, because that may clutter up our Space Center. Yeah, see, like, visually it's... The water deluge system is still going. Can I pull up settings here? The settings are just not quite... The visuals are not quite living up to what I've seen other places. Start turning that back on. Everything else is set to high, so I'm not entirely certain why. I'll play with it more later. Pop into the VAB. I know, actually, it's a really nice touch to have them talk and say things. Let's send something to the moon. Let's go to the moon. Let's build something. Let's see if we can't build something kind of Soviet looking. Power. Need a control thing. We're gonna make this a controllable vehicle this time. Oh, actually, before I do this, save this as simple 2 real quick. I'm gonna pull up. Wait, is the chat delayed? It's a little tiny bit delayed. I think the stream itself is delayed, is what's going on, which is just it's kind of the nature of live streaming. Let's pull up Simple One. I want to load it. Load. This is not the flight version, though. It doesn't have the struts on it. Oh well. I want to see if we have sub-assemblies. Because I'm not seeing somewhere to do sub-assemblies. Oh, okay, so that's where I pulled that up. Cool. Assembly anchor? What is assembly anchor? Yeah, it's 110 now. Hold on for a sec. Okay. I kind of... What is a launch assembly? What does that mean? I don't think we're going to have sub-assemblies here. At least not yet. Okay. Well. Is that what I want, maybe? Well, we're gonna just have to rebuild this, I guess. I was gonna use the same launch vehicle for our second rocket, but I don't think it's going to be something we can do. Actually, I don't know if I can affect anything here. Alright, well, we'll pull up Simple 2 and work on it there. Once again, all the naming conventions are weird. Okay. I am not familiar with Space Corn Dog. Or with the Space Corn Dog. What is the Space Corn Dog? Okay, so I think the VAB is doing a glitch here. So what we're going to do is going to back out and hop back in. Okay, now it's working. Cool. Yeah, I figured it looked kind of Soviet. I'm going kind of Russian for this one, I think. Structural. That's too big. This. There we go. There's gonna be ridiculous delta V on this, but I don't care. I'm gonna give this some antennas. So we're just going to orbit the moon, or we're going to try to land? That's the question. You know what? There's so much delta V on this. Let's try to land. Let me grab some legs. It kind of does look like Mars 3 and Mars 4. I can see that. Let's use some fine adjustment here. Cool. Oh, okay, I like that. That's nice. I don't know if you picked up on that. When you put in a connection piece underneath an engine that is a different size than the engine, it's sloping the fairings. That is a really nice touch. I really, really appreciate that. Because that created some weird-looking craft in KSP-1. Okay, so we're going to go... Let's try 4 struts here, and hopefully try not to break the game with too complex of a vehicle. Where is fairings? Let's see what this one would look like. Okay, so this one's too small. We go medium here. I have to probably build a new launch vehicle anyway. Oh, you know what? Hold on. Before I do this, let me hop over to our Action Group Manager. Custom 3. Electrical. Extend panels. That didn't seem to work last time. I don't know why. Okay, so... Oh, we need some batteries on this. I'm curious curious if those will... So they do kind of interfere with that. I know it doesn't actually create a problem, but... So I keep having this problem in the VAB where it decides I can't interact with the craft I'm working on. And it is a little obnoxious. Whoop. But where did the vehicle go? It's entirely gone. I hit the back button and it is entirely gone. That'd be my guess. What time is it? 1:17. Let's see where this leaves us. Can I not load? Oh. There we go. Okay, so that is not even the right craft. Okay, so the undo button, Control Z. Now it works. Why did it delete my whole craft before? Okay, well, whatever. Wasn't that hard to build. We'll just build it again. So this here, we had... I'm going to rearrange this a little bit since I have an opportunity now. So let's throw these like that. Fuel. Engine for landing on the moon. Yeah, we have some antennas here. These. Pull in the solar panels. Make sure it's saved properly. Once again, the naming conventions here are real weird. I agree, like, the shininess of the silver, it adds a surprising amount to the game. Like, it looks good with... The parts look gorgeous. It's not the parts that are, like, questionable here. It's a lot of other aspects of this that are looking not great, and it's mostly environmental. Okay. Go back into the Action Manager. 3. So unsurprisingly, the early access game that isn't done is a little bit buggy. Right now I'm going to try to maintain channel-wise things the way they've been going, which is over the past week where I've been actually doing things on the channel. I know in the past I've had trouble keeping up with things. I think one of the things I'm going to try to change to make sure that I can keep up with things is I'm going to try to not be quite as hard on myself about missing launches. So I'll try to get out a video for the launches I can, and if I can't cover them, I've been thinking about starting a second channel for streams. I'm gonna bring this. Okay, I guess I have to redo the whole fairing. Okay, I'm gonna make it taller. There we go. I've thought about it. I've thought about starting a second channel specifically for streams and doing streams a little bit more. This is kind of a test run for that. We're going to see how this looks, how this it sort of performs. But I'm not opposed to the idea of doing streams more frequently. What kind of engine do you think we thinking here? And that, you know what? Let's throw an engine plate in there. Where are the engine plates? There are the engine plates. This is, yeah, I don't know how you do it from a Mac. That's the trick. Like, streaming on PC is, I don't want to say easy, but it is significantly more functional than trying to stream anything on a Mac. What are you? Oh, this is like a mainsail. Yeah, we don't need a mainsail up here. You know what I just noticed we're missing? We seem to be missing a medium-sized vacuum-rated engine. Which is why I'm going to use this on our upper stage, because this is mostly going to be for our TLI. But that is noticeably absent. Okay, let's go ahead and we'll add a stage separator down here. And then we have a first stage below this. Can I not... let me disable the fairings for now so I can throw some struts in there. Do they have a part count somewhere? They don't work as decouplers anymore. That's something that a lot of people noted on the streams, is that the engine plates do not work as decouplers anymore. They are now strictly there to allow for the sort of interstage fairings to work properly, which is a bummer because it's made extra annoying by the fact that you need to kind of shore up everything with ridiculous amounts of struts. Let me turn the fairings back on now. We are kind of getting an Atlas Centaur looking thing going over here, and I don't dislike it. One extra bit of extra fuel tank down here. Something beefier. I think that's beefier. Do you have a thrust to weight? I know someone mentioned that there is thrust to weight ratio mentioned somewhere. I don't know where we would find that. I know it's not by stage, and a lot of people were complaining about that. Thrust mass. I don't think we need RCS for this. We're going to the moon. We've got a bunch of reaction wheels up there. Oh, that reminds me. I should add reaction wheels to the booster. I don't know on that one. That's an interesting one. I've never had issues like that, so I'm not entirely certain what would be causing that. That there. Throw another reaction wheel down here. Oh, thrust to weight ratio. Here we go. Yeah, okay. So this has got a beefy thrust to weight ratio. Can we swap this out for something else? Let's try throwing... What do these look like? Ooh, okay. Really horrible. Not going to use those. Rhino is too big. This is not going to be powerful enough, so I guess we're going with a mainsail. We're just going to tone it down. That looks good. Okay. To keep the Atlas thing going, let's throw some Vernier engines on here that'll do nothing but look cool, but actually, What's going on with those blue squares? I don't know if... I mean, those are definitely on stream. There's some weird blue squares on either side of this. Oh, that little engine's there, so it's a little bit Atlas-like, I think. We'll keep the Atlas going, because I'm getting Atlas Centaur vibes from this. So second stage separates, but also the fuel tank below it. That... Yeah, I don't know on that one. I've never had that issue before. You know what? I'm going to take off the launch clamps for now, so I can check the thrust to weight ratio again. Fairings, okay, cool. Goes back up. Start thrust to weight. So I'm going to turn the mainsail down a little bit. I'm trying to get like a 1.5 on that. 1.61 is fine. Okay, let me toss that in. Now comes the fun part, because if I spawn it like this, it's going to be floating in midair with the launch clamps holding it up. I'm going to select our probe. Okay. I think simple 2 here is ready to fly. Why is this picture the outside of the VAB? Overwrite this. One more load thing. Yep, there it is. Cool. I don't know why there are so many empty saves. The save system in this is very bizarre. Sorry, my cat is all over my desk, and he is a little bit in the way. Okay. I love you, buddy. One more save. Everything should be shored up. Let's take this out to the pad, and we'll give this a go. We're going to the moon. Oh, it's nighttime. Oh, I did warp, so that makes sense. So the water deluge system seems to be glitched because it is currently going, and I haven't even started the staging sequence yet. Okay, let's start this thing. Let's light this candle. Shit. Oh. This thing is really going. Holy crap. Okay. Start our pitch over maneuver. Okay, okay. Oh, I think we've lost control of this vehicle pretty firmly. I'll let the flight termination system here take over. We'll try this again. I don't think it's necessarily an engineering problem. I think they might make a sound, but they are completely overshadowed by the absolutely incredible launch audio, which was recorded from an actual Atlas V launch. It was last year's SES. It was an SES launch in the middle of last year. There's an SES launch in the middle of last year that will launch at like 85. It was on an Atlas V. They recorded the audio from that. There's a really great short on YouTube about the process of recording that audio. Okay, that is good looking. This thing's got some warmth to it. Look at it go. I'm gonna lock on prograde now. So yeah, it is leaving like clamps and stuff behind on the pad, which I can't clear out from the tracking center for some reason. I have to clear them out from the VAB by trying to load on the pad and selecting recover. I don't know why, but that is the way the game has decided to work. Okay, so I am going to... Okay. Nope, no. It's just a little bit of juice. We'll angle us. Nope. We may have lost control of the vehicle here. See if we can't get it back on prograde. Cool. So I want to burn a little bit here. Try to use this first stage a little bit more so we can conserve delta V on our upper stage. I agree. They should. And we'll ditch the first stage here in a sec. There's the first stage. We'll ditch the fairings while we're at it. Okay. Those fairings need a little bit more warmth to their separation. I hope that didn't damage anything on the lander. What's Delta V looking like on this? Okay, so there's a problem here. It damaged the separator here. Okay, so this is a problem. The sun does look really good in this. Yeah, it's the way the light reflect, the way the lighting is handled in this game is really good. It's the clouds that I think are lacking, which sucks because the clouds are one of the things that I was actually really excited about. Ejection force. We're gonna bump this way the fuck up. Let's go like 600. I'll say 600. Okay. And while I'm at it, I'm gonna scroll down here to our mainsail. I'm gonna bring it down just a smidge here. What does our thrust to weight look like now? that. Bring this out to pad 1. Yeah, I am able to chalk most of that up to, like, yeah, this game is still early access. It's very, very early access. But I am seeing, like, graphically, it's... I don't know why it looks so good on the streams that we saw from... Or not the streams, the videos we saw from people that went to the Netherlands. I don't know if they were playing on a slightly more advanced version. I know they have a beefier graphics card, but that really shouldn't be affected by anything other than the graphics settings, and they're set to maximum here. Alright, let's send this thing. So I think it's also worth noting here that with the countdown, it handles the flight itself. Like, I don't... the ignition... I don't have to wait to hit the space bar right at 0. It does it itself. I can override it by pressing it early if I wanted to. But honestly, I think it's cute. No. Ah. Okay, so we're still too much thrust. So I'm gonna go back here and we're gonna turn down the mainsail a little bit. Yeah, it's like I said, it's an Atlas V, and it's Atlas V with 2. I refuse to put fins on things. I am a fin pure. I am a rocket purist, and nothing has fins after like 1960. I'll bring this down to 40. Better to be underpowered than overpowered, I guess. Yeah, nothing has fins after 1940, and I honestly don't think fins look that good, so I have been abstaining from putting fins on things, period. I'll load it with reaction wheels and give every engine gimbaling. I won't put fins on anything. Okay, let's try this again. And I think it's a 10-second countdown, but I need to actually time it. That's a more reasonable liftoff speed. I like the way, too, in KSP-1, there was an issue with the lighting on the launch pad, where when the rocket leaves it, it kind of leaves it in stages. It's always been a problem in my videos where, as the rocket leaves, there's this very firm line in between the lighting, the lit rocket parts and the unlit rocket parts. They seem to have nailed the fade a little bit better on this, which is nice. Yeah, it's something that I really don't know if I would have noticed it a ton if I wasn't doing videos in KSP. The lights down there look good, too. And once again, you're right, the sun does look amazing. Oh yeah, altitude-wise. Okay. I'm gonna switch this over to prograde a little bit early, because we've been shooting high and steep, so. I think the music here is a little bit better than the music in KSP-1. I would have liked to see a little bit of the, like, classic KSP soundtrack thrown in there a tad bit, but quite honestly, I muted it a long time ago to play my own music while I play the game. The only reason I'm not doing it right now is because I don't want to get copyright strikes. But it does do a good job building... exactly, like a remix or a remake, or at least like an homage to the old soundtrack, because it was like iconic. Okay, so we are nearing. here's a complaint. There is no good way to transition here from SAS following a predefined point like prograde. First stage is use up all its fuel. Let's cut it loose. At the second stage. Now let's try cutting the fairings loose this time, and hopefully it won't break itself. You know what? I'm just going to cut that off, and we're just going to coast. Hey, there we go. Cool. Okay. We got a lot of Delta V in this upper stage, which is good. Head over to here. Add maneuver point. These maneuver nodes are stupidly sensitive. So we're looking at 800. This should be manageable. It's in 2 minutes, so we won't warp to it. We'll just do it naturally. Switch the vehicle back to prograde. Now we're on power. We're good on power. Which is weird, because we're not collecting power anyway. So we should be, like, kind of leeching power, but we're not. Caution is a classic. I don't know if they'll ever give us a proper Kerbal alphabet, but apparently they've given us 1 through 10 now for the countdown. I think it's 10 seconds. If I had to take a guess, I think it's 10 seconds. You know what I should have put that I didn't put on this, and it might be a problem when we go into land? Because I plan to use this upper stage until I cannot use it anymore. Which means we may be ditching it during final ascent to the moon. I did not put any separation jets on it. So, when it, what's that call out for? When we separate, hopefully we don't have any problems running into it near the surface of the moon, because that may just mess up this whole thing. I've always done my own countdowns. It's nice to have someone else do them for a change. There's another number 4 down here, and I don't know if that means it's 4 seconds. I feel like this should be a longer burn, because this is a beefy upper stage with a tiny engine. So we're going to start at, let's say, like, 20 seconds and leave it at that. Yeah, that was a good call. I love the visuals on the engine plumes now. It is so much better looking than the engine plumes in KSP-1. Like infinitesimally better looking. We might miss this one. Yeah, it's a 2-minute burn. Okay. We should be good for Delta V for this burn, a TLI, and probably at least an arrival burn in orbit of the moon. I think the minions copied Kerbals. I think Kerbals predate the minions. I'm going to give Kerbals this points for that one. But it is also completely justified to call them space minions. I think that's a reasonable thing to call them. There's some weirdness going on with the lighting, with this really white fairing in between the lander and the upper stage. It's like almost glowing. I don't know why. It might just be so bright and everything else is dark, but... Which is weird, because the upper stage is shiny. You'd think the upper stage would be glowing. Oh, cool. So okay, so we still do have the old hotkey for getting rid of the heads-up display. Something clicked. I don't know what clicked. Oh, it's the pause button. Does this freeze the? This freeze the engine graphics. And they fixed the pause button problem that we saw in everyone's videos from. Oh, it was close. It was close. I still think they copied. I think they got an advanced copy of Kerbal Space Program. Like, let's make these hang out with Gru. Okay, is that an escape trajectory? Oh. We can just trash that. Okay, so this is way off. Where is the moon? There is the moon. So we're going to do a burn. Say here? Okay. Can I set as target here? Cool. That's over. Okay, so our burn is in 21 minutes, and we'll warp to it. I don't trust the warp 2 function, so I'm going to still can't warp in lower altitudes, which is unfortunate. We're going to aero brake here a little bit, apparently. Dipping down to the atmosphere just a tad bit. We don't know that it's not mint ice cream. That's the thing. We'll have to send a probe there at some point to figure out whether it is or is not mint ice cream. It might still be. Don't count that out yet. Okay, we're out of the atmosphere. You can warp a little bit more. Last burn that was about 2 minutes long. It was about 800 meters per second. I'm guessing that this is going to be basically the same. So we're just going to do another 2-minute burn. That's going to be my plan. There's the moon. Let's go. Oh, it's 50 seconds. Okay. Yeah, see, we're gonna... This is... Oh, no, that's the start burn. Okay, never mind. I misread the UI. You know, it was a lot more prominent in the very early days. I haven't heard that joke as much anymore. remember if it was referenced in the original launch of the first, or in the original version of the first game, though. Like, I think it was something that was referenced later. No, that's good enough. So that's 4 hours. Now we're definitely going to warp to that. Bye, Kerbin. I think it's safe. I think the future of this game is going to be okay. This game is going to be fine. I personally, they're making choices with this game that I'm not a huge fan of. Like, for example, I think colonization is cool, but I don't see it as something I'm going to do a ton of. And personally, I would have focused on getting more historical parts in there and fleshing out launch sites and stuff like that, but that's just me personally. I think as a franchise and as a platform, I think Kerbal Space Program is alive and well, and it's going to be okay. This is going to be a rough launch. I think we kind of knew that for the past week when we saw the system requirements and we started seeing the videos from the influencers. They flew out to the Netherlands. But I really do think it'll be fine. And I really think, you know, personally, if you ask me, in this form, this shouldn't have launched. As glad as I am to be playing Kerbal Space Program 2 today, I think I do have some custom flags, and those will show up maybe in later videos. We'll see. As glad as I am to actually be playing Kerbal Space Program 2, I would have much rather waited to see a more polished game, because I think what we're going to see is a bunch of people who didn't play KSP 1 and are thinking about getting into Kerbal are going to look at this game, and I'm worried that they're going to jump on it when it's in early access, and it's going to leave a little bit of a sour taste, because it is in early access, and quite frankly, this game feels very early access. Like, it's okay, so we are now in the moon's sphere of influence. I'm going to get this burn set up. Retrograde. Bring us down to a low orbit here. I am missing the ability to mouse over the periapsis and apoapsis points to get their altitudes. Where's our... They're gonna bring me over to the, nope. So I don't have a thing to... Oh, target. There we go. Oh, maneuver? Maneuver. There we go. Okay, cool. We'll warp the rest of the way. Yeah, I think, I would have liked to see more work go into not just making the game look better, which, you know, like, I mean, we're coming up on the moon right now, and the moon in this game looks, from the videos I've seen and from what I'm looking at right now, thousands of times better than what it did in KSP 1. I mean, this looks like the moon. It's amazing. I did hear he managed to launch all of KSC into orbit. I don't know what that glitch is. I haven't experienced anything like that. I don't have any idea what could have caused that. We'll kick off this burn. This is about half of what the other ones were, so we'll kick this off at about a minute. About 30 seconds prior to the start burn. Oh! We'll kick it off at the start burn time. I just realized that's how it's worded. Okay. I've noticed the battery isn't going down. The solar panels aren't deployed. There's no, like, extra solar panel setup doohickeys, like, hanging off the side of the vehicle. But the amount of power needed here is not going down, and I wonder what the deal is with that. I wonder if that's a glitch, that basically infinite power is always on and the solar panels are just there for kicks. I'm not really sure. I'm excited to get a closer look at the moon, though. We're going to see... They might. We'll see. I'm hoping to see... I'm excited to get a closer look at the moon here. Put this thing on the surface. I'm sure I will crash it. In fact, let me quick save. I'm hoping it's the same... you know what? I'm just going to assume it is the same key command and hit F5 and hope that quick saves. There's a little tiny audio cue and no visual cues that a quick save has happened, so hopefully I have quick saved this and we're not going to wreck this and have to restart the whole mission. But yeah. Okay, so my hotkeys are working now. Get the solar panels and the antennas out. Might as well have them out. The panels do look a lot better now. The way they reflect the sun and stuff. And I love the hinges. The hinges tucked in here are a really nice touch. They do look super modern, which is kind of weird on this, like, 60s Soviet moon lander. Okay, coming up on the burn time. So this is something that seems to be a little bit different. A little bit different than KSP1. In KSP1, you have like a sort of midpoint for the burn. Now we have a time that the burn starts and a time it runs for. So it starts at that time, it runs for 42 seconds, which is very different from what I'm used to. I don't have to get used to that. And when we get out here into deep space, it's running fine. The GPU is at about 50%, the CPU is at 38%. The disk that the game isn't on is running at 100%. I don't know why. My memory is only using 13 gigs of RAM. Bring this down. Cool. Yeah, put us into a pretty good approach orbit. We're not too low, are we? I don't think that's bumping into the lunar surface. It's just real close. You can get rid of that. And maneuver plan. Pulls into a nice low orbit. Okay, let's warp in. There's a weird, like, almost like film sound effect going on when I'm using time warp. That is very bizarre. God, that looks gorgeous. Hold on. Situate this to the burn node. I don't know. I keep getting like alerts up here in the corner and I don't know what they're about. I don't know if it's something going on with the current vehicle or if it's something going on with the debris from our last launch. I don't know what Power Aerospace Industries is. What is Power Aerospace Industries? Lack of stellar exposure. I don't know what that is either. "30 kilometers above the lunar surface. 20 kilometers. I really can't see shit because it's so dark. Burn is in 90 seconds. 12 kilometers up. You know what? That's a good point. I haven't checked to see if I could turn up the brightness in the settings. You know, I've dug around in the graphic settings, so maybe it's somewhere else here. Audio, input, gameplay. Nope. Not yet. I'm sure they'll add it some other time, though. And for now, all we really need to do is see the burn timer. I can add lights to this, too, if I really wanted, but we'll make sure we're landing on the daytime side of the moon for now. We'll try to find a nice, flat area to land on, too. Comes. 2, 1, ignition. Why are we looking at an impact? Hold on. Something is horribly wrong here. So I think this is going to impact the surface of the moon. I do not know what is going on here. Okay. So we're gonna flip to retrograde. So the camera is being completely uncooperative. I think. So we narrowly avoided catastrophe there that would have cost us the whole mission. Sorry about ignoring the chat there for a second, but I don't know what is going on with this auto orbital ground thing. I think it's something with the camera. having no idea the way it wants to orient itself. Because we are ridiculously close to the ground. The reaction wheels are underpowered, yeah. It does, yeah. It needs more people, but not that big of a deal. Oh, finally. Okay, cool. Moment of truth. Let's see how much of the spacecraft is still intact after whatever the fuck just happened. Alright, looks like we're good. We are in a lunar eclipse, so it's gonna be dark for a little while. This burn is 33 seconds. Not 33 seconds. It's in 3 minutes. I have no idea how long the burn is. God, it is dark out here during an eclipse. Okay. Yeah, I don't think KSP1 really did eclipses right. Thank you. I've never streamed before, so all of this is kind of off the cusp. Yeah, I don't think KSP1 ever did eclipses right, so it would, like... The celestial bodies would not cast shadows on each other, just on spacecraft. So while this is realistic, it's a little bit of a pain. So we're gonna burn prograde. Okay, let's trash this. No, that's good and stable. Okay. I am going to put us into a warp until we are no longer in a lunar eclipse so I can see what I'm doing. Okay. We're gonna try to land here. Nice big flat terrain for us to attempt our first lunar landing. Okay. 16 Delta V. And that burn is in 3 minutes. I have over 11,000 hours in the first game, so I've done damn near everything. With the odd exception, I've never actually launched a probe to Minmus. For whatever reason, I keep forgetting it's there. Except for when it's a pain in my ass and I'm trying to go somewhere else and it gets in the way. So, that is something I do need to do at some point, is build a probe for Minmus. And maybe that's something I'll stream. We'll launch a mission called Minmus Explorer. But that's another time. I've sent probes to basically everywhere else. I've fiddled with airplanes. I fiddled with STOs. Let's see how we're looking here. I'm gonna move this slightly. There. So if we fall short, we fall short into the big basalt plain. I will say I have a habit in the first game of doing a lot of like real-time full flights. I assumed the moon was the most visited location. I've been to the moon plenty of times, and I'm doing it again. This looks gorgeous, though. I mean, look, the textures don't look quite as good from orbit as I expected, but they look infinitesimally better than the first game. I want to be perfectly clear, too. I actually do have 11,000 hours in the first game. I'm not trashing it. The first game is incredible. And especially because it was like a one-man team. I don't know why I'm seeing glowing on the first stage engine and fairing plate here. What's the Delta V like on the upper stage? It says 0, and that's concerning. Fuel in here. Okay, so I'm a little bit worried this is 0 fuel in our lander stage. We'll cross that bridge when we come to it, I guess, but it does scare me. We're about a minute from our descent burn. It was more cartoonish, but especially in the early days, I modded the hell out of it. So there was like, I quickly was able to sort of erase the cartoonishness just by piling on mods. I eventually pulled a lot of them back because every time the game would update, they'd all break. It'd be a pain to have to go in and like replace mods or update mods. So I ended up playing vanilla most of the time. The only mod I consistently kept was MechJeb, which is a godsend when I'm making my videos because it allows me to focus on the camera work more than flying the rocket. Oh, thank God. Yeah, because I'm sitting here, I'm concerned our lander is not set up properly with piping, and I was like hoping the lander is going to be able to make it to the surface because we have come quite a ways to get us here. Okay, so let's be ready for our descent burn. 3, 2, 1, ignition. Cool. So we should be perfect. Okay. Now here's the question. Do we want to ditch this upper stage, which still has 600 Delta V in it, and just land on the lander's engine from this point? Or if we want to try to hold the upper stage a little bit longer for our like deceleration stuff when we get closer? You know, we're not going to use the lander's engine at all after this. I think we cut the upper stage loose. Quick save, cut the upper stage loose, and hope for the best. Let's do that. Here we go. No, this has no Delta V. I don't know why it has no Delta V. Oh, wait. Okay. Yeah, I don't know why it's displaying the fuel this way. As if there's a bunch of empty fuel tanks on this. Because there isn't. So I don't know why it's displaying that way. I also just noticed this donut fuel tank is clipping through sort of landing structural component here, and I'm not entirely certain why. I thought about doing that because that was the plan with the Soviet LK lander. Was they were going to keep the sort of the transfer stage that they were going to use for the translunar injection burn, and the descent burn to send them down to the surface of the moon. The plan was to keep that attached until the lander was on final approach, because they had to use the engine on the lander itself for both the landing and the ascent. I thought about doing that with our upper stage here, but because I didn't have separation rockets on it, my concern was that if I did that, the upper stage would crash back into the lander and would sort of trash the whole mission. So I opted to ditch it up here so it's well out of the way for our landing attempt. It'll still smash into the ground, and we may see it. I'm not going to make any guarantees, but maybe we'll see it on descent. Fingers crossed, that'd be cool. But I think we'll be too distracted with trying to get this thing safely onto the ground. It's been a long time since I landed without, an autopilot assisting me because of MechJeb. Just fire the engine. I thought about that. Oh, you're a couple seconds behind. You're right. I did. That's what I ended up doing, is I fired the engine to test to make sure it worked. It does work. For some reason, it's displaying as it's supposed to have 1.6 tons of fuel, but it's only got 0.17. I think that's a glitch. I think it's supposed to have a lot more fuel. I think the scale down here is supposed to be smaller. So we're seeing... It's weirdly zoomed out, basically. This is very dramatic music. How are we looking on the map? I'm confused as to why this is falling so short of us now. I don't know what this is. Oh, you know what? I wonder if those are fairing pieces from the separator by the engine segment. Okay, we can fast forward a tad bit. Oop. It is having a hard time. Oh, yeah, we can see it starting to fall back here. I'm going to give us a little bit of deceleration here. Can I switch this to surface? There we go. So we are well over the big flat plains here. I'm far less worried about missing and landing in the mountains. I am too. I'm glad that science is the first thing they're doing. It's cool to have all the infrastructure here, the architecture here to go places and do things, but there's nothing to do when we get there. One of the things I'm really looking forward to is I want to be able to... I liked in the first game, the ground experiments that they added with... It was one of the later updates. That's going to... Wait. It was one of the later updates where they added... the ability basically to have the Kerbals, when they go out on EVAs on the surface of another body, deploy these ground experiments and solar panels to power them. Sort of like setting up the landing sites for the Apollo landers and stuff like that. It's... it makes me... I'm looking forward to the ability to do that. So, because that made the manned missions places, like landing missions, feel like they had more purpose to them, which was Just a good plus. I like that. Like I said, here, cool, you get out, you plant a flag, you go home. Okay, so we're now in basically what is a straight up just steep drop. And we're going to start our final descent procedures here. Fuel is looking good. And there we go. Simple 2 is on the moon. I will say, I kind of feel like these legs, they collapse in further than they should. We touched the engine nozzle on the surface, and this is something that a lot of people have pointed out, but the mesh is not right for the surface of a lot of celestial bodies, so we're just kind of hovering here. But for all intents and purposes, this is the surface of the moon. I plan my missions very carefully, so we don't have nearly enough fuel to get home. I'm going to shut down this engine, and we're going to go back to the VAB. If I can find out how. Deactivate? No, I didn't deactivate it. Huh. I can't shut down the engine. That's weird. Oh. I can turn our thrust limiter to 0. That'll do the trick. Yes, I believe it is, but we will go check in a sec. Let's go here. Let's go back to the tracking station and see if we can't clear out some of the garbage. There's simple 1. Or there's simple 2. There's simple 1. Yeah, we still can't clear out any of the debris here. Go back to KSC, and we'll hop into the VAB, and we'll check to see if that pod is there. And I'm getting pretty close to calling it for today, I think. Oh wow, the lighting is having a weird time here. It's warped to a little bit later in the day, so it looks a little bit better. There we go. Yeah, it's right here. Little one-man command pod. The cool thing is, as some people have pointed out, the windows are now clear. You can actually look inside and see the Kerbals in there. There's the Mark II. Mark II looks more modern now. Some really massive command pods. Cupola is still here. These lander cans are nice. This has always been my favorite, though. I will say, like, a lot of these, especially if you look at, like, the windows here, they have a very modern look that, as someone who plays the historical aspect of Kerbal a lot, I'm not a huge fan of. I would have liked to see... You know, I love the modern look for some of the parts, but I would have liked to see a few parts that that feel older. Like, I mean, obviously, Stay Put Nick is a classic. But a lot of these, like, cockpits, throw this down here. I guess this is just a basic bubble cockpit. But, like, a lot of these things, they feel much, can we see inside of this? Oh my god. That is cool. I like that. They feel much more... Oh, what's the term? They do have an Orion analog. It's the Mark III Gumball. It's sort of always been a weird mixture of Orion and Apollo. Here, let's throw some Kerbals in this and just, like, throw this out on the launch pad and see if we can't figure out if we can see inside. I don't think we can. Where are my heat shields? The funny thing is, there's, like, heat shields in the game. There is no heating effects. So, the heat shields are basically purely aesthetic right now. Throw a docking port on it. I mean, you'd want to have some, like, parachutes, but they have an Orion capsule. Can we, no, I just have the option to EVA him. You can kind of see the control panels in there. It's like a combination of Apollo and Orion. So it's like Apollo with a bunch of touch screens. It is situated like Apollo. I've always liked the layout of this, actually. It's a very generic capsule that feels very appropriate. And it looks really good in shiny metal, I'm not gonna lie. Like, that looks really cool. We can make it look like the original Orion capsule. Let's bring this back to the VAB. I've seen some pretty interesting For All Mankind stuff built in KSP, and For All Mankind was really good for the first season and a half. I think it kind of lost its way in the later half of the show. They got a little bit crazy with the stuff they wanted to do, which is fine. But I think the show extended itself a little bit too far from its original Cold War roots. I was gonna pull up the paint tool and change the color of this. Grab white. Okay, so we can make it look like original, like OG Orion, as well as let's just make it look like Apollo. Let's go all silver. See, that's snazzy looking. See if we can't set up an Apollo CSM. I'll get rid of this. Okay. It's being weird again. I've consistently, over the time playing this game, what is going on? Have I also managed to launch KSC into space? Why am I not seeing... That's weird. I agree. When it hits the 90s, like, they get too out there. I understand that it's like this skewed different idea of a space race and different course of time, but I am just not a fan of the way they handled things for the last season of the show. It just seems a little too advanced, and it seems like it's too many steps away from the original premise, and I kind of feel like a lot of people who follow space will probably agree with me that it kind of felt like it jumped the shark a little bit. Like, where are my RCS thrusters? There they are. It kind of feels like it, like they just went a little overboard with, some of the stuff they wanted to try to do was just a bit much. Yes, I am trying to build an Apollo CSM like super fast here. Where's my other control elements? Oh, how big is that? I mean, that's a little bit long for an Apollo CSM, but let me see if we have... I don't think we have a good engine. I think that's going to be the thing that cans this, is there's no good vacuum-rated engine at medium size for like this is semi-vacuum rated. Like, this seems to be what they intend us to use in vacuum at this size, because it's thrust to weight ratio is terrible. But this is not an Apollo CSM. So what happened to the original round solar panel? There's still plenty of solar panels. I think the original batch of solar panels, I'll leave that on there. Power. We got here. Little square guys. We got the big square guys. We got the new circular ones, which, like I said, I think look good. We have them both in a shroud and outside of a shroud. They're big though. These guys, everyone remembers these guys from the first game, the 1x6s, the 2x3s. And then here's the interesting thing: we have two large solar panels. So we got these guys, which the ISS panels from the first game, and then we seem to have these big beefy rollout panels, which are clearly designed off of the actual ISS panels, which are going to be awesome for building space stations and like more complex orbital things that need bigger power requirements and look better with a larger solar panel. It'll be nice to have that scale of panel. Although I don't remember if the original panels on the ISS, and if someone knows it, throw them up in chat. I don't know if the original... I agree that I think Orion looked better with the rounded solar panels. I like it with the square panels, but the rounded solar panels have got a charm to them. I'm not entirely certain whether or not the ISS's original solar panel arrays were rollout or extended directly. I imagine they must have rolled out the way these ones do right here, but I'd have to look it up because I'm really not sure. But yeah, it's a good little array of different panel types here. So once again, I'm curious to play around with this more. It's not, not perfect, obviously. It's early access and that shows, but it's not a bad starting place. And like I said, visually, places like the moon, they look good on approach. The graphics get kind of iffy at like a distance. The cloud effects out on the pad and when you're here on Kerbin are questionable, especially they don't morph around objects properly, so they kind of glitch in and out around the rims of your spacecraft, which is not ideal. I'm gonna play around with it because, like I said, I've seen footage of it looking absolutely. It is missing Hubble style panels. I agree. It's just not looking as good as I've seen footage of it looking absolutely incredible. So I know that there is a way to get it looking better. I just don't know where in here it is and what needs to be played with the settings. So that'll be something I'll have to explore. But I definitely want to take more of a look into that, and I'll play around with it more and see if I can't figure out what's going on with the settings. And who knows? I'm fairly surprised that the frame rate held up as well as it did, albeit the two rockets we launched were relatively small. I have played a Sonic game. Sonic Adventure 2 is the best Sonic game. But the but yeah, I think as a frame rate, as a framework, there's good bones here, with some visual improvements, some bug fixes, and the science components. This game can really be amazing. You know, I take it or leave it on the colonies and stuff. I know everyone's really excited about colonies and Interstellar. I'm not. But that's just my personal preference. I hope those things make it into the game for the people that want those. And I really do... I could see myself streaming this more or covering this more. I don't think it's ready to have my main videos brought over into KSP yet, or KSP2 yet. But someday, hopefully with MechJeb, when MechJeb comes over and things look a little bit better and run a little bit better, I could see using this for the main videos. Especially, like, right now, a lot of the rockets I use in my main videos, because I'm trying to do very realistic looking and functioning rockets. A lot of those have got really ridiculously high part counts. So I tend not to fly them. I don't think they would fly very well in this game, which I've heard struggles when you get to a higher part count. Huh. Textures on this didn't load. There we go. Okay. I'm going to... I use MechJeb because when I'm launching for the videos, it's easier to let the computer handle the flight stuff than try to fly and make sure my shots are good. And I'm also lazy. Like, a lot of that flying to get this thing into orbit and get the 2 probes we just sent into orbit and the other one to the moon, it's not new. I've done it before, but I usually have a computer do it for me. So I'm going to sign off here. I've got some other stuff to get done today. I may be on tonight to do a little bit more of this, and if I come back and I'm playing more, I'll throw something up on Twitter and hop back in. I'm not going to make any guarantees. I will have coverage this weekend for Crew Dragon. Full coverage for the Crew Dragon launch, Crew 6, on Monday night. Or Sunday night, Monday morning. And I'll hopefully be able to cover on Twitter the 2 Starlink launches coming up. There's one from Cape Canaveral that was supposed to be yesterday that is now scheduled for Sunday, and there is one that is scheduled for, I believe it's Monday during the day. I'm not sure. I've thought about live streaming launches, but I don't have a good stream source for it, and I don't want to just take official launch provider's launch stream and just restream it, because that feels wrong. Why is it a triangle? That's weird. Maybe that's a symbol for thermal that I'm just not familiar with. Let me make a mercury pod here. I'm gonna try making this black. Okay, that's snazzy looking. I like that. Okay, but yeah, I'm going to sign off. I've got other stuff to take care of today. But yeah, like I said, I'm going to try to be back on later and play this a little bit more. Thank you all for tuning in, and hopefully I'll be able to do more streams in the future. All right. Bye, everyone.